Loose Women, the podcast, is brought to you by Mecca Bingo,
the home of bingo besties where fun and laughter come together just like best mates.
MeccaBingo.com is the home of legendary bingo. I love being let loose with me dobber.
We all love a win, and the Mecca Prize Promise brings 3 bingo games every day, and everyone who plays wins.
Players must be over 18. Terms and conditions apply. Go to meccabingo.com for details, and please be gamble aware.
This episode of Loose Women, the podcast, contains some adult conversations of a sexual nature.
meccabingo.com, sponsors of Loose Women.
Hello and welcome to Loose Women, the podcast, with me, Christine Lampard, and Coleen Nolan. And today is our chance to answer some of the questions sent in by you, our lovely listeners. It's my first time doing this, actually.
Is it?
It is. First time I've done the question one.
Very honoured.
It is very, very exciting. We've got lots of interesting ones today.
We have got some great ones coming up. One listener is starting to resent her sister and wants some advice. We've also got a great question about dating. When do you make a relationship official? Plus, we'll be revealing the best and worst Chatup lines we've received.
Oh, right, okay. I'll get thinking.
I can't remember.
Right, well, we'll get started then. Okay, this is first question. Right,
Okay.
Coleen. This listener wants to know, how do you broach the sex talk chat with your children? I think this is very difficult
Well,
for
it's
a lot of
difficult
people.
for you because your kids are still. I hope
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
broaching
it's-
that subject yet.
100%
What do your
not.
kids?
6 and 4.
Oh, you're not far off.
But I tell you what, this is the problem, isn't it? Because really, there's so much out there that you have to shield them from knowing too early. So, as I say, they're very young, but I can understand how, you do have to start thinking about it. And they're taught at school really quite young, in primary school now,
It's in
obviously.
primary,
So, it's sort of suddenly around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think because when I was a kid growing up, it was just something I would never, ever have spoken to my mum and dad about. And they didn't. Even if you tried, they would shut you down. So I, as a child, thought if I have kids, I want to make sure that they can talk to me about anything.
Yeah.
So for me, it was actually really easy, and it kind of happened organically, when things were happening. For instance, with Kira, obviously, with a girl, things start to happen, don't they, with the body and her periods. And so I would be very open. They could ask me anything. And with the boys, there was a few things that happened with the boys where I'd go, yeah, you need to ask your dad about that because I'm not sure. And then as far as when they really started to get into where I thought, if they are going to start exploring sexually or whatever. But they did all tell me when they'd lost their virginity.
Did they?
Yeah. Shane was the first, obviously, because he was the oldest. And I won't say how old.
How did they approach it?
So I remember being in the kitchen one morning. I won't say how old he was, but I was in the kitchen one morning and Shane came in and went, and I had my back to him. And he said, I lost my virginity yesterday, last night. Now, inside I thought, oh, good God, what? Like, as a mum, you're like,
yeah.
And I thought, don't freak out, and don't bombard him. So I went, okay. And I went, did you? And he went, yes, I used protection. I went, okay. And then we just had a conversation about it.
That's a real testament to how his relationship was with you, because for him to feel confident enough to bring it up, it was just normal, sort of conversation in the morning. Like that's the link between you both. That's incredibly telling. That's one to be proud of.
But that comes from having parents who I couldn't have that conversation with, and that feeling of, it's scary when there's no. I mean, thank God I had older sisters. I wouldn't have spoken to about my brothers, but I did have older sisters that I could talk to about, but not as openly as we do now. But I just remember that feeling of I need to talk to someone because it's scary, or I don't know what to do or what to say.
I remember being at school, and this shows you how long ago it was when we were having these discussions, and the Judy Blume books doing the rounds. I don't know if you ever remember any of your kids reading any of them. And it was probably reading it back now, it was just hardly even remotely dirty, but it sort of was to us, and it was about sort of sexual relations and relationships and things that you wouldn't have been talking to your parents about. And these Judy Blooms used to do the rounds amongst all of the girls. And looking back now, and you think of how young people have everything at the touch of their phone and watching very, you know, potentially explicit pornographic detail, which I think is really
or just
terribly
researching. I can put a keyword in and get
you're bombarded. So to have it, that's why I just felt so organic and natural to be able to say to your mum, this happened yesterday. That probably maybe doesn't happen now, because a lot of young people think they know more than their parents would do anyway, because it's all on their phones, and that does scare me. But I do remember with Frank's older girls, when his approach and our approach was always a bit, if they talked to us, of course we would talk, but we also approached it all with a slight sense of humour, and I can imagine you being a bit like that.
Always.
And I don't mean, obviously you weren't always joking about everything, sometimes that wasn't appropriate, but they knew that was kind of the safe space, and if they would tell you things that their friends maybe did at the weekend, and so they did feel they could open up, because the reaction was never going to be, oh my God, that's terrible. We were never going to do the shock thing with them. So you talk to them like a grown-up, really. So there was a respect thing. And I think from a parent perspective, you feel, okay, they feel safe enough to do that.
Well, because you're hoping that if something happens that's really worrying for them, you know, whether that's physically or mentally or whatever, that they'll still then be able to come to you with that.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Not just with the, I've lost my virginity, but be able to come with you with any worries. Now, I want that. I don't want them... I never wanted them to have... I don't know who to turn to, because a lot of their friends did have that problem. Like, they felt they couldn't, you know, speak to parents, or they'd be grounded, or...
Yeah, and it's a very isolating place to be,
really,
though, isn't it?
And it's a scary place to be.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. And I do think I went to an all-girls school as well, so you have a slight different outlook on everything. You don't have boys in the class. You know, like, boys act in a different way, and relationships are all different because the dynamics there, whereas it was just all girls for us, so therefore it was a very one-sided conversation all the time in that school environment too. But I remember being taught, like, sex education classes, certainly in sort of maybe 11, 12. It kind of started in secondary school. So the parents have to keep up with that. You have to know those things are happening, so you're in line with the information that's going into their heads. And
also it's a different chat with boys and girls, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't react different with Kira, but I'm just saying, as a mom, it felt different between son and daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that, yeah.
Well, and also with daughters, you worry about pregnancy and all of that, you know, so we had to have that chat. But I think the way to broach, I mean, the question is, how do you broach the sex talk chat with your children?
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with, like you say...
I think they start asking questions.
Yeah, I think naturally those things can come. I mean, my two, and they're really young, are sort of already would ask about, well, where do babies come from?
Yeah, and I think you have to be careful, because you can't go into in-depth explanation to a 6-year-old.
This is exactly it. So how long do you keep going with the kind of nicknames that you have for the body parts? You know, the sort of things that we all do as parents, and children create their own names for bits and pieces, and particularly if there's brothers and sisters with different body parts and they're pointing at each other. All of that's all kiddie and lovely and cute and everything else. And then suddenly you think, oh gosh, it's starting to shift into the next chapter.
Into the next phase.
And I don't like it.
No, I know.
I love that little innocent baby face, and just carry on as is. But like you say, when it comes to girls, I had friends had their periods at 10, 11, 12. You're still a very young girl at that stage, but yet your body physically is turning into a woman.
Oh, God,
so awful. With that comes, you know, a huge responsibility of knowing what it means. And
also, I think sometimes, I remember when they were younger and they'd ask me a question, and of course I'd think, right, be grown up, because I'm not grown up. Be grown up, you know, give them the proper answer. And within 2 sentences of the proper answer, they'd be like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
And I go, okay.
All right then.
You know, didn't want that much information. Did you have nicknames for your parts?
I sort of... My little boy, Frank says Dinkle.
Dinkle?
For the old Willy area.
Oh,
yeah. And just boobies, you know, old school.
Yeah. What, he still uses that now?
yeah, I'm just going...
Do you want to see me dinkle? Show me your boobies and I'll show you my dinkle.
Go on then.
Frank needs to grow up.
Dinkle's cute though, isn't it?
It is cute.
It's cute.
Frank and his little
Well,
dinkle.
when you're potty training Freddie, that was the terminology. So
Oh, put your
Frank would
dinkle.
say, your dinkle does this.
Yeah.
You have to wash your dinkle.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, anyway, yeah. But that is a difficult thing. And I do think sometimes the answer to this question for me is, I think you kind of know the time.
Yeah, you do.
And like you say, your child might make it slightly easier for you by actually broaching it. And if they don't, just make it a very safe feeling space if they did want to.
Also, apart from social media, there's so many great books, to explain to
Yeah.
kids and about how their body changes and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're not sure. Or you could
Exactly.
even sit down with them.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you don't know the right terminology or you're a bit embarrassed or whatever, because some people are.
Yeah, of course.
My mum would have absolutely you just couldn't talk to her about it. There's a
just
woman with
wouldn't.
8 kids, she should have known.
She knows all the body parts. Exactly.
I can't believe my mum and dad had it 8 times.
That's the thing. That's what children don't want to think about.
8. I remember as a kid thinking, ooh, they've done it 8 times, not thinking about the times in between.
No. It was only
Just
8 times.
yeah.
Only 8 times. Exactly that. Okay. Right.
Right.
Have we've slightly answered that? I hope. Right. We have another question, don't we?
Yes, we do. From Naomi.
Naomi, and she says, I have been seeing someone for a while, but they've not made it official yet. How long should you wait for someone to make it official?
I'm so confused with all this,
This
honestly.
is, you see, I blame Love Island for a lot of this, because the process within Love Island, for anyone that watches it, and indeed if you don't, there's this process of you meet, you like each other, then you have to sort of you start sort of chatting, then you kind of become exclusive, then you become something else, and there's all these various stages. Whereas with Frank, you start going out, we quite like each other, you're then going out together, that's it, your
100%.
boyfriend, girlfriend. But there's different levels now, and I think dating apps, the landscape of dating has completely changed now, and a lot of young people do find it where there's different levels that you have to go through before it feels like you're the one. And it almost has to be an announcement. You see, it's the announcement bit. I don't like any of that.
Oh, well, in Love Island, it's a massive thing, isn't it?
Well,
Big announcement. They set it all up. And
you got to do it before the final.
Yeah, exactly. If you want the exclusives.
That's it, and it's all this huge
No,
declaration
but even
of...
outside of... I remember Kira and the boys, but mainly Kira, because the boys were a bit older, so it was a bit different those days. But Kira, and she'd come home, and she'd be saying, I'm seeing, not seeing... she'd talk about a boy, and I'd be like, oh, is he lovely? So is he your boyfriend? And she'd go, no, we're just seeing each other.
So that's different to
And I
having a
just go,
boyfriend.
Yeah, but you see each other, like, just the two of you all the time. Yeah, no, but we're not official.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
So what makes it official?
I don't know, Christine.
Exactly. That would confuse me completely. That's my
I'm
thing
so
as well.
confused.
I think people are making it much more difficult for themselves almost. And does
And
this
what
mean
does-
that you're seeing other people potentially as well? Because dating apps kind of create that, don't you maybe
seeing
like
other
dating
people.
quite a few people from an app. So you're not official with any of these people because you might have 4 different dates that week, and you might see the 4 people again the following week,
Have
and
you
you're
logged
still
into
choosing.
my Tinder?
Well, I mean,
You've logged
I
in,
can't
haven't you?
keep up. But it's just like, it's very difficult. But I think it's because it's been normalised where that is allowed, and it's fine. Of course it is. But then I think we should just take away all of the labels. Just do what you want to do.
But when I was younger, if I met a boy and we went out or whatever, and the night ended on a kiss, he was my boyfriend.
Yeah. Did he think it though?
I don't know now, Christine. I need to go back in time and have a chat.
That's certainly the way that it was. It was a simpler time. Definitely was a simpler. Like the second
No, I
sort
think
of.
you did. I think, like, as soon as you kissed, you were kind of like
Yeah, that was it.
not moving in together, but you'd see each other again.
Yeah, that was you sort of exclusive,
Yeah.
and you expected that they
Until
weren't
it
seeing,
didn't work, and then you'd split up, and then you'd go on to
you'd
them.
go again.
Yeah.
But you'd expected they weren't seeing someone else at the same time. But I think a lot of young people are okay with that at this point. Like I know.
They leave their
talking
options open, don't they?
all
Maybe
the
they're better
options
than
are
us.
open. Maybe it is. Maybe it is exactly that. And then the emotional ties aren't there if it doesn't work. So maybe there is some like benefit to it. It wouldn't work for me. I'd be
I
awful.
don't think it'd work for me.
Absolutely not.
Especially if I'd seen his dinkle, that would definitely be...
Once you've gone to the dinkle area, it's like there's no
Once
coming
you're
back.
dinkling, you're mine.
Once he's seen your boobies, like I mean.
Oh my God, we're not helping these people with these questions.
No, we're not.
No, but I think if you've been seeing someone for a while, I don't know what for a while means with you, whether that's a month, 2 months or 2 years. If they're still not making a move to make it official, there's something going on.
I agree. And I think official to me would be going to like a family wedding together, or
Being a couple.
Yeah. You know, being seen out as a couple.
Yeah, this is my boyfriend, or
Yeah.
this is my girlfriend, not this is my friend.
With
We're not
benefits.
official.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That would worry me. If it's been a while, I think, why is he still leaving his options open?
Yeah,
Because we've been together a while, and she said they've been together a while. So if he's not made it official yet, I'd sit down and have that conversation with him.
Me too, Naomi. I think basically as well, you've got to give back yourself, and you deserve happiness.
We need to
you
move
deserve
on.
to know where you are.
Yeah.
So if they're not giving you what you're wanting,
And they still don't want it to be official after a long time, then move on.
I'd certainly be considering options.
I'm worn out with this part. I need a refreshment.
Okay, let's do that, shall
Go
we?
for a break.
Strong rum. Stick
I
to the
just
tea.
can't get over Frank and his dinkle, but anyway.
Welcome back. Feeling refreshed?
So refreshed.
Refreshed.
Calm down.
Well, if you are enjoying this as much as we are, please remember to subscribe, follow and rate us. It is totally free, and it does mean that you won't miss a single episode. Right, more questions.
Yes, so, okay, Becky wants to know, would you ever be prepared to present Loose Women without your hair and makeup being done?
Be quick, wouldn't it? It would be just like...
It's lunchtime. No one needs to see that at lunchtime when you're just about to eat your sandwich.
Ideally not.
Do you know why, I think? Because we're straight away, and I always sound like I'm really slagging off social media and all that, but we're in a time now when you're so judged.
Yeah. About everything, I guess. And not just people
And also,
on the telly. I mean,
just-
everybody's being judged.
No,
You know,
everybody's
like,
being
it doesn't
judged.
matter what you do.
But I think, I mean, it'd be interesting because I would feel completely different doing it without my hair or makeup on.
Well, you see, for me, weirdly, and I've been doing this a long time, we all have, and a lot of people don't like hair and makeup. It's almost too much, I'm getting it done all the time. I still find it the biggest treat.
Oh, I do.
I absolutely, it's not a normal thing for most people. I still appreciate every single time I get my hair or my makeup
So
done.
do I.
And for me, weirdly, I don't do it in real life. You know, I'm doing school pickups and dog walks. There's no hair and makeup. So therefore, when I come to here and do the show, it's like a treat, and it feels like you're
almost like a
set
spa
for the
day.
day. Yeah, you know, it's like...
Oh, no, I love
I'm a different version of myself because I've had my hair done. And
Yeah.
it just feels like a real treat. It makes me feel like a better version of myself. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing, but I do. I like it. I love just
I love
looking
getting
a
my
bit
hair,
fresher.
hair and makeup professionally done. But it's really weird because equally, what I love about being at home is that I don't have to have my hair and
absolutely.
makeup
I
done.
wash everything off the
Yeah, me
second I go
too.
home. It's not
Me
like I
too.
go,
And I love
keeping it. Yeah, exactly.
But would I want to be, you know, even if I go to the supermarket sometimes and I haven't got any makeup on and my hair's tied in a ponytail or whatever because I've just mucked the horse out, so I stink as well. It's never a winning look. And it's always when, can we have a selfie? And I go, oh, can you just tell them I'm her really ugly sister or whatever? But, so, yeah, I don't know. I definitely think it brings me more confidence to have makeup and hair done.
Absolutely, it is. It's a confidence thing. It's just part of just being a better version of yourself. When
Yeah.
you're kind of, it's like, right, I'm ready now. It just
But it
makes you
does
feel
amaze me
different.
about you because you come into the morning meeting, hi, and I think, oh God, she looks beautiful.
Do you?
Yeah, I really gets on my nerves. I just
But I
one day
usually
come
have-
in and look really
But you
horrible.
know, I'm so naturally curly. So at home, I'll wash my hair and I'll just let it dry naturally. So it's a big curly frizzy mess.
Is it really?
Yes, proper curly frizzy mess. And then I don't have any makeup on really at all, ever. Bit of mascara maybe if I'm making
Do you
a
have
bit of an
makeup
effort.
on when you come into the morning meeting?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just put my moisturiser on, put that on, and then I'm sort of, you know, feel prepped a little bit. But I do watching people like Pamela Anderson recently, who's been in the headlines for lots of different Met Gala there recently as well, and a lot of people actually getting at her, but she decided to do this au natural thing, which I think's a very brave thing, to be fair.
It's so brave.
I think it's very, very brave, but equally so you think, well, fair play. And imagine the beauty of owning that feeling and feeling confident in yourself.
Well,
taking
I think
5 minutes to get ready.
But you see, I think sometimes when people... Because my sister had it, Maureen, she was always known as the pretty one, the beautiful one. And actually, you know, as much as like guys had come up, you know, when you're younger and go, oh, which is your beautiful sister? And we'd all go, Maureen, you know. But in actual fact, and this is what I get, not on the same level, obviously, as Pamela Anderson, because she was iconic, wasn't she? Baywatch and all of that. I get the pressure of that.
Yeah.
That's all you're known for. And it really got to Maureen that... So then, as the ageing process started, she was the most insecure than any of us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because she felt that that's what all she was being judged on.
It kind of was
and I
her
love
role.
Pamela Anderson because I think she's done the same thing in a much bigger, you know, bigger frame. But she's done the same thing of, look, there's more to me than just that.
Yeah.
So now you're going to see the real me. And if you don't like it, then tough. But
Yeah.
So I really admire her.
No,
actually.
I completely agree. And I think as well sometimes, as you say, as we kind of all get older, I love seeing women with less makeup on. I think it can be much more youthful.
So do I.
I don't mean like a bit of concealer, a bit of mascara. I'm talking about just doing
Full,
it quite in a
yeah.
minimalistic way. I actually think it can be much more attractive anyway.
I agree.
But then, you know, you go to big stores or any of these kind of makeup places now, and
Not
they
where I live, you
don't. Well, they're rammed with young people. It's all young teenagers.
So
I
that's why I
remember
don't
I remember my eldest stepdaughter going through the makeup phase. She was maybe 13, 14. And they couldn't get enough makeup on their faces, and that's like this beautiful, you know, youthful skin. But yet they wanted to do the hardcore makeup thing.
Yeah.
And
I think we all go through that phase.
Exactly, we all do it. But I think definitely as I've gotten older, and also you can become a bit more confident. Do you not? Like I care less about
I was
being
just going
seen
to say,
without
do
makeup
you
on.
worry about getting older?
I don't really. I worry more about how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with energy and how I feel. And it's probably because the children are so young. But that I'm much more obsessive about that than I've ever been.
We don't worry about older physically, as
Less
in looks.
Less so, I have to say. Of course you do, yes. I don't want to look like 20 years older than what I actually am. I feel it sometimes. And I wrecked my disc lifting children out of the bath. This was a couple of years ago. And suddenly now, when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm like, oh, I'm back. Oh my God, this is the start. Where the aches start to kick in the mornings. And I never wanted to be that person. So it's those things I would put my energy into more as to maintain. That would be more of a priority, definitely. But it's purely from an energy perspective. I just want to be fit.
I just think nowadays that people, especially women, are very into how they look, because they're almost being told that getting older gracefully is not good.
It's not allowed almost.
It's not allowed. You're not allowed to get lines. You're not allowed to get wrinkles. You're not. But my problem now is there's a certain age range where I think they all look the same. You know, I did a programme about beauty, and one of the women that was having a facelift, I absolutely loved her face. Like, she'd smile in her eyes, and she's going, oh, but I've got these. And I was going, because you're smiling.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then seeing her after, and she smiled, and they'd gone, and I thought, you've lost all the character.
But then again, you wonder that there's maybe lots of other issues for that too, isn't there? There is an inner
mental
confidence
health, I think.
thing, and
Yeah,
it's
confidence.
there's definitely
But some
reasons.
people also, and I think women mainly, cannot bear the thoughts of getting older on the like, not physically, because that's, I understand, like you were saying, that's more to do with health and your creaky bones and all that, but I mean just aesthetically, they're terrified.
Yeah.
But that's scary because it's happening in the 20s, and I think if you're scared of that now at 23, I don't know how you're going to feel at 43.
Yeah.
Because if you start now, you've nowhere to go when you get to 43 without looking like a mannequin. If you keep doing it, you know. It worries me. Like a lot of Kira's age of girls, they're all having, you know, already they've had lip fillers and Botox, and they're like 23.
Yeah. That is
Luckily, my daughter's massively not into any of
really
that. But I think it helps that she's in a really, really solid, lovely relationship, and he loves all of that, you know, and they're both really cool. But yeah.
Are you a sucker for things that you see online sometimes? I am like the best person to buy
that
rubbish
take
on
20
Instagram.
years off your face
Oh my
with
goodness
one
me.
treatment.
Well, I nearly hit shop now last night on this face roller. Some Korean gadget that's supposed to be incredible, and there was a few famous faces, I think, sort of backing it. And like, I'm sure it arrives and it's a bit of plastic rubbish, but anyway, this thing supposedly is a lymphatic drainage thing, and I thought, oh, that looks amazing.
Yeah, no, I'd
And I
need
had to
one of
stop
those
myself
tarmac rollers from the car, from head to my toes, just go over me. Take them weeks.
Do you remember they did it in the show though on Loose Women, didn't they?
What, tarmac rollers?
No, that's
Till I
next
miss
week.
it.
No, we're doing that together next week. When the panel did no makeup.
Oh yeah, they did. I think I called in sick.
Yeah, they did it. They did it. So
That's brave.
It is brave. But then there's quite a few.
We shouldn't talk about that because I'll probably think that'd be good to do that again.
Yeah, we'll delete that.
Yeah, we'll
get
delete that bit.
edited out.
Cut that bit.
Right, what have we got? Oh, this is a bit more of a
This is
dilemma.
sad.
Yes. Anna has said, my mother has dementia and I am caring for her a lot of the time because my sister doesn't help at all due to her work schedule. It's making me resent her, but how do I stop feeling like this? That's very difficult, isn't it? I mean,
can
it depends
really,
on whether...
really relate.
Can you?
Yeah, because when my mum had dementia, we all dealt with it differently anyway, and we all tried to do as much as we could. But obviously, you know, there was a couple of my sisters especially who did a lot more because I was working. Bernie lived down south. Linda was working. So Anne and Denise and all of that they lived in Blackpool. So they did, and my brothers actually did the majority of it. And there was moments when I'd be away thinking, oh God, I'm not helping enough. And I am sure there was moments in their time where they were going, are we just going to do it all? Because it felt like that. And they were doing the hard stuff, you know, like helping her to the bathroom and, you know, all of those things. I think I can get why you have a resentment. But your sister, you know, Anna's sister probably works because she's got to pay her. No one's going to pay her bills or her mortgage just because her mum's got dementia. Also remember as well that there might be bits of looking after her mum that she just can't deal with. There was bits that I just couldn't deal with my mum. I couldn't do it. You know, I grew up, I'd never seen my mum naked, ever.
Yeah.
Because it was that era where you just didn't. So all of a sudden this woman who didn't even really know me anymore was stripping off. And I still felt like her baby.
Yeah, it's very
So
difficult.
I'd be running for that. I was like, I can't, it would upset me so much. But my elder sisters would take over and they would shower her and change her and they could deal with that. And then I'd have her sometimes during the day and I'd take her out. And so we all did our bit, but you just had dementia so hard because you handle it so differently and there's no definitive, well, this is going to end in a month or this, you know, it was 5 years really with my mum, and it's hard. So I think I would discuss it. I would sit down with my sister and go, I'm really struggling. Because you might hear from her point of view that she is also struggling with massive guilt, that she's not helping as much, or I could help more but I'm just struggling to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think you've just got to understand each other.
I think the line of communication has to be very honest.
Yeah, don't
and
let it
open
fester.
all the time. I think the longer
And
you
you're
let it
grieving,
fester-
remember, already. I mean,
Yeah.
I grieved for 5 years while my mum was still here. So that when she actually passed away, I didn't grieve at all because I was relieved. Because she was out of this trauma. We were, because my mum didn't know. And then a year after she passed away, then my grief started. Because every time I thought about her in that first year, I just saw her with dementia.
It's like you forgot
Yeah.
your mum,
Yeah.
didn't you? You had 5 years of that intense kind
Well,
of
and
period.
also
of-
because I saw her in turmoil, so I was like, please just put her out of this,
yeah,
you
it's
know.
just awful.
But then, after a year, when I remembered her as a child, when I was a child, and she was amazing, and those were my memories. So I grieved then. But when me and my sisters and brothers have talked about it, yeah, we all did things very, very differently. And I would say that my eldest sisters did the majority of it. And I'll always be grateful to them. And I'll also have an element of guilt. It wasn't, oh, they can do it, I'm busy. But it literally was, I was the only breadwinner, and it was kind of like, I have to go to work.
Yeah. Circumstances that
circumstances,
you just dictated
yeah. So, and it must be hard if you've just got the two, you know, because we're a big family. But, yeah, I would sit down and tell your sister that, you know, Anna should tell her sister, I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing it all on my own, and just listen to each other.
And even if it is just being able to have conversations on the phone and update each other every night on what the day has been, whatever, it just has to, the talking still has to happen, doesn't it? Really, like my sisters at home, and my mum and dad, touch wood, are good, but my mum's the one that, or my sister is the one that will take my parents to doctor's appointments, or, you know, go and shopping, this, that and the other. And my sister's certainly not resentful of that at all, and she loves being able to do it. It's me that feels almost resentful because I'm here and I can't. And it's so it's not resentment amongst us. It's a guilt feeling where I go, I wish I was a bit closer. Like if they could be next door to me now, I would have it that way.
Yeah, and it's that, and you kind of think, I hope they know that I love them as much as my sisters love them. But
that's it.
But
and you
know,
try and do
I
other
didn't
things.
live. You know, I lived in Blackpool for the first couple of years of when she got it. But then I moved away to Cheshire, and then Bernie was in Surrey. So we both felt that, you know. I hope she knows how much we love her as well. It's just that logistically it's much harder.
It's much more difficult. No, absolutely. I hope that helps a little bit, Anna. Like you say, I think honest chats are the way
just
to do
keep
it.
communication open
For your own sanity.
and listen to each other's feelings. You know, don't start accusing each other. So if Anna goes, look, I feel I'm doing all of this and you're rubbish and blah blah blah, then just listen to each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I hope that helps, Anna. We'll be back. Welcome back. Right, it is time now to hear our celebrity question, and this week it is from music legend Jules Holland.
My podcast question to the panel would be this: if you could go into a time machine, when and where would you go back to, and who would you take with you?
Oh, that's difficult, isn't it? Is it?
I think it is difficult. My very first thought, and this is only because it's fresh in my mind, you know, there are so many apps at the minute where you can get old black and white photographs and then you can create them where they start to move and bring people to life. Have you seen any of these?
No.
Oh, honestly, they're really emotional.
I think you're making that up.
I swear, I've got it on my phone, I'll show you.
No, I have seen it. I'm lying.
You know, I made one of my dad and me. I was a wee baby and Dad's holding me, and then I had a photograph of my dad's band from years ago. It was an old grainy black and white picture, and suddenly it sort of moves and they come to life and it turns to colour.
Sounds freaky.
It can be, but it's really weirdly emotional. If the person's not here anymore, it can be quite a moving thing. And my mum had sent me a picture, or I had a picture of my mum when she was a little girl, and weirdly, when I was trying to do it on my phone the other day, I thought, oh God, I'd love to have seen my mum at that age, as the same age as my little girl now. And my mum grew up in this beautiful old farm back in County Tyrone back home. And because my grandparents had all passed away by the age of 10, and I so wish I'd had longer with them. I'd love to have been able to drive and have been able to have taken them out. I have friends at my age who still have grandparents, and I'm always quite jealous of that.
I've never had grandparents.
And weirdly, and there's probably big moments in history that you'd love to go back to, but certainly on a personal level, I'd love to go back to my parents' childhood, and then I'd obviously be able to take them with me and just go back to see where they grew up and
like Back to the
life and yeah, I'd actually really like that, and just to go back and see your grandparents as younger people. And you know, you just see black and white pictures and you just think of them as living in a black and white world. Do you ever do that? No. I sort of do, and I love the whole DNA ancestry thing, you see. So I do love kind of going back and delving into family stuff. So I think
it's a dangerous thing to do, that though.
Well, you hope they've all, you know, they're all good. They haven't
Yeah,
got
but
up
what
to
if you took
anything.
them back and they thought, actually, I'm not going to go out tonight because that's when I met your mother. I'm going to go
Marty
the other way.
McFly, absolutely. Back
I
to
mean,
the future. It could all be very
scary.
different.
Would you not go back in time and bring Frank?
I don't think he'd be that interested in my mum and dad when they were kids.
No, but it might go back to a different time when you were a kid or a different era. Is there no era you'd go back to? See, I'd like to go back to like 50s.
Yeah.
Because I love the music, 40s and 50s
50 and
music,
fashion.
Sinatra,
Fashion, the hair, all of that. I don't know, absolutely.
I'd love to go back to
or like
that
go to
time.
New York in that time.
I don't know if I'd bring you with me though.
Why not?
Because you'd still be good looking. I need to bring someone that I've got a chance of, that I've got a chance of pulling. I don't mean pulling you.
Well, who did you fancy from the past? Like you said, Frank Sinatra. Is there like someone that you would wish they'd been around today?
Yeah, no.
Not really?
No.
I know Frank Sinatra's a good one.
Frank Sinatra, just because I loved it. We
Fascinating
brought up
life.
on Frank Sinatra, so I just love his voice. I loved all the films from that era, all the musicals. And, I just loved it was more romantic then.
Yeah.
Without people questioning it. Like, now you can't be romantic.
Yeah, that's true.
Because everything's, I don't know. I would
Yeah,
love
a
to go
lot
back
of
then,
that.
but who would I bring back with me?
You bring Kira.
No, you can't bring your kids, because obviously you bring your kids. And I can't say Kira because I've got 3 kids, so the boys would be like, cheers. Who would I bring back? Oh, I'd bring the goat. My new baby goat, McGinty, he'd love it.
Well, yeah, you can't go very far with it. We baby
exactly.
But even when you talk about musicals, actually, yeah, all those sort of, even back like to the 80s, like all those brilliant movies I used to love, like Back to the Future and the Goonies, all that.
Are you talking about if I could go back in time, I'd go
I
back to
would.
the 80s?
I would. I loved the 80s, but I was really young then.
All right. I lived the 80s.
Yeah, I was born 79. So I was only like 2, 3 in them early days.
Could she get on my nerves anymore?
40s is
Beautiful
a good era.
and young.
I'm just thinking about
40s.
that. You're right. I like that. I'd like to be in New York in the 40s.
Yeah. Just all that era, yeah.
Yeah, just see what it was like. That's
I love
just
that
the
exciting
style,
and yeah.
old-fashioned
And when they went to
manners
dances, they
and
met at dances, but it was dancing. You know what I mean?
it was
wasn't
proper
just
dancing. Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a club.
Yeah. I think that'd be brilliant. I'd
Yeah.
like that too. Finally, it is time for our star question.
Oh.
Star question. This is our favourite question from this week's selection. Coleen, you have it.
Have I?
Yeah, you have.
Oh, you've given me a question.
Yeah, the big
Donna
one.
wants to know. Oh no. What's the best Chatup line you have either heard or had said to you? Also, what did you say and did it work?
Oh. I couldn't bear any of those cheesy lines. If Frank had come up, oh, you fell from the star, all that nonsense.
Yeah.
That's not for me at all, unless it was done with complete sarcasm. But I remember Frank's opening line to me was, oh, hi. And I don't know, hi. And he said, I was doing the One Show at the time. And he said, I've watched you every night on the One Show. And I went, no, you don't. And he said, no, I do. And I said, who was my guest last night then? And he was able to tell me. And I thought, oh, not bad. Not bad.
See, I'd have gone.
Research done.
I'd have gone stalker. See ya.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. If he'd have said hello, I'd have gone, okay, whatever you want. Yeah.
But I thought that was quite nice.
No, it is
Even if it was
nice.
nonsense, he claims to stay.
Well, obviously it wasn't nonsense, because he didn't know he was
but-
going to. He didn't know he was going to bump into you.
No,
that night.
no, he didn't. But the idea that there was just a little bit more kind of,
like
info
that.
involved. And I
Like
thought that was
that.
quite nice. I prefer that rather than the cheesy kind of, oh,
No,
did
but
you fall from
sometimes
heaven
it
and all
depends
that.
how they say it, because sometimes if they're saying those cheesy lines tongue in cheek,
Yes.
then it makes me laugh.
Uh-huh.
And if you make me laugh, you don't even have to buy me a drink. I'm all yours.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that's it. The humour thing has to be there
Yeah.
too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. I can't think of any other kind of cheesy. You must have heard loads of lines when you in the band and everything else. My gosh, can you people throwing knickers at you?
What kind of men do you think we attracted that wore knickers?
I'm in the mood for dancing, Coleen. How many times have you heard that?
That is an instant. Don't even talk to me.
Is it really?
Yeah. If they come up and they either go, bet you're in the mood for dancing, and I go, yeah, no, I pretend it's the first time I've heard it in 50 years. Like, oh God, you're so funny. Where's my coat? Or now I get, Are you really a loose woman?
How loose are you?
How loose are you?
you?
Which is a bit personal, because at my age it's quite loose. But, yeah, no, back in the day, I don't know, it was like, I don't know, do you fancy it? Yeah, okay. My kind of man, straight to the
You'd
point.
have been brilliant on Love Island.
Yeah, but it would have been like...
Now we're official.
Now we're official from day one.
And that is it for today's podcast and indeed the series. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We've had so much fun, haven't we?
We really have had so much fun. It's been absolutely brilliant. But we'll be back in the summer. Yay! So until then, you can catch up on all the loose gossip every weekday at 12:30 on ITV1.
And don't forget,
Stay loose.